this is just the disclaimer part of it, and I'm going to lead into these questions that people get asked me all the time. So I'm going to put it like this. This is My Prairie hats. At one point, I was sponsored by them. I'm not sure anymore because I did a review. I did an honest review on the stuff that they gave me, and the time it did take a while to get. So I do have this hat that I bought from them, with my own money, and no code. I just kind of bought this. A lot of things I bought with no code because I want to give my honest opinion on stuff, and I don't want people to think that I'm biased in a way. There's a few other things I'm going to work on. But for the question of why do I only post 2 and why am I doing like a video face kind of format where it's a video face, because there are a few things I'm trying to get done. I think with companies like Wisdom TV where you can be a mentor, Verbal, which is another podcast and site for my podcast, and to some extent, there's a amount of field that I need to do. So when you're looking at this, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I will specify, but you will see me doing honest reviews on different materials. But it's just the whole reason for my podcast, for me doing the stuff that I'm wearing. I just like this hat. This hat's not bad. It's this. I'm gonna keep it honest with you. I'm not sponsored by any of these brands. I work with these brands, but I'm not getting commission from any of these brands. I don't think I'm getting commission from My Prairie because, I don't think I am, right? So I'm gonna be upfront about that. I don't think I am, and in video formats, you want to be upfront of if you're sponsored by a brand or anything. So I don't have a link for this. I think they might have just kicked me out of their affiliation. Overall, I think this is just me trying to test the waters to see if I feel comfortable putting my face out there, but also answering questions about why I started the podcast and stuff like that. So overall, it's just kind of me getting comfortable with it. We'll see how it goes, but overall. Okay, so I know that this is probably a different environment than what people expected when they said, okay, so who is Royalist Kingcj, and what is the Kingcj podcast? Music podcast, right? So the idea of the podcast came from something I was grieving with, and I just was buying bulks of music. When I say bulks, I mean like 2 or 3 albums at a time. And I was like, well, what's a way that I can talk about music and talk about it in which a way that I love music? Because I think when people assume that people talk about music, it's either because they love music, they're part of the music industry, or they think music is easy to talk about, right? And to some extent, that's somewhat true. I don't want to sit here and say that's not one of the reasons why people start podcasts. I think that's a huge misconception, right? But I think at the same time, you must accept that you're in a business that music is very subjective, and I think that's what happened. So let's talk about a few things. I think it's better for me to explain myself to the audience and for me to do an actual video face, because I think people are like, who's the face of this podcast? Like, we hear him talk about podcasts and music every day, but we don't understand the atmosphere of it and where did he get a start for music. So to some extent, this is kind of how I'm gonna do it. So firstly, my first musically. So musically, I think if you were to ask me what are my go-to albums, what would be my go-to albums, rap-wise, R&B-wise, and pop-wise? What would that? Well, pop, R&B, and rap. So for rap, I have three or four albums. I'll go 3 or 4 albums that are my favorite, right? 3 or 4 albums that introduced me to rap. And to some extent, they seem a little biased, but I think it's because I'm from like this. I'm from the South, but I also like to travel. So it's gonna be Lil Wayne's first Carter or No Ceilings mixtape. And I say the No Ceilings mixtape because it holds a very special, a very special, a special place in my heart. I think that's solely because of Swag Serve 24, which is Kobe's number, which, R.I.P. Kobe, but Swag Serve Ice Cream Paint Job, the remix was very infamous. Was very infamous in the South. It was a classic in the South. So that's where I will go with one of my favorite hip hop albums. The other favorite hip hop album is weirdly debated. I think if it depends, right? So it's between the two, and I know this is gonna sound like a weird kind of thing to talk about to some extent, and I think I get that, right? But it sounds controversial at the time. But I'm recording this kind of in advance to at some point release this because I think it's important to show a face to who you're listening to. So, I want to say it's between Late Registration by Kanye, that album, or... Okay, so I have 3. Nothing but, okay. So we're going to go early 2000s, which shows you how... kind of where I am in age, I think. So we have so we're gonna do by categories. So Lil Wayne is one of the artists I have in rap. The second one I have in rap is Kanye West, but I think Kanye West's album that I focus on the most will either be Late Registration or College Dropout, and I think the reasons why I choose these two are very controversial to other people because they're like, we don't like these for a reason. I'm a huge fan. I love skits when you do an album. I love the skits in between. I love the interludes. I love everything about those albums in the order that they are. So in a whole sense, I think the skits make the album, but the Kanye West College Dropout has that work skit that I think is amazing. Jesus Walks, of course, is a remarkable song by Kanye. It's a song that screams legendary. That one song alone has done it. But see, Late Registration the skits for College Dropout are basically Alpha Step, Omega Step, Delta Step, like that old Greek life kind of thing about the College Dropout thing, which I think by Kanye was done amazingly. I think the beats were done great. I think College Dropout also has The Last Call by Jay-Z, which I think is a very interesting track to me because you kind of understand where the Blanks in Paradise came from, which to some extent is kind of what I needed. I think that's what I wanted and needed, so I ended up getting that. Late Registration, on the other hand, it's a beast in itself, and I say that because of the skits. The skits are amazing to me because they talk about the idea of being broke in a society that focuses on capitalism and money and revenue and how much money you make, and how the idea is that if a guy, if you cannot be a provider and you make X amount of dollars, then that brings other things into play, right? And I think to some extent I do understand that concept, but the skits are just extremely funny. They talk about making a fraternity, which to some extent I do think I do like about that album. However, songs that stand out to me are the Way Down. It's definitely The Way Down is a song that I have to hold down there. Roses is another heavy hitter. Roses is a heavy hitter. Wake Up Mr. West is another heavy hitter on Late Registration. I can't remember which album Gold Digger is on. Is it on Late Registration or is it on Graduation? Give me a minute. I'm going to show you how big of a fan I am. So I'm going to do that. So give me a minute. But see, I like to always be correct. So that's my problem. When do by artists? Did he change his name? Okay. So all the Kanye West albums I have, that's Donda, that's College Dropout, that's Jesus is King, that's Graduation. That's Late Registration, that's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, that's The Life of Pablo. That's 2016 Ye, that's Ye versus the People, which I would recommend listening to, especially when we're in this time. 808 and Heartbreak is another. Gold Digger is on Late Registration. Wake Up Mr. West, Heard 'Em Say by Adam Levine. The Skids, Drive Slowly. Roses, Bring Me Down with Brandy. We Major with Snoop, with Nas. Cameron is on one of these albums. And great, and yeah, so I will show you to an extent. I have all of College Dropout. I have all of Late Registration, and then I have all of Graduation. And so it's a love-hate relationship with, Kanye's music in general, but I think if you were to ask me what songs were the most impactful, it would have to be Late Registration, College Dropout, Wayne's No Ceiling mixtape. Them dedications are amazing by Wayne, but we talk about mixtapes. We can talk about mixtapes when we talk about mixtapes. Another album to me that's rap related that I think I love is Born Sinner, by J. Cole, and 2014 Forest Hill Drive. Right, so I've been through a lot in my life. So 2014 Forest Hill Drive is the thing by J. Cole that I relate to the most. And then it's KOD. But it inspired my love for music. I think, people say, why do they fall in love with music? It's just my life experiences, why I fell for music, why I have a passion for it. I think that's just a simpler way of putting it. I think many people wonder, why do people love music and why do people talk about it? I think because music is the best way to express those emotions. So to some extent I get it. Okay, so R&B wise, I have 3, which sounds weird. I have a 3 for everything. The one where Music Soul Child, he has Love, 17. Love was supposed to be labeled God or something like that. Love God or something. Or I think like that, and then the Life Jennings 1-800 something. I don't remember what it is. Where he has Greed. Where she has Greed. What is it? It's Greed. It's Hypothetically. Kids, Stick Up Kid. Anyway, I love Life Jennings' album, and I love Music Soul Child. That'll always be my top 3 for me. But those are my 2 albums. My third one third one is a Charlie Wilson album or a Jaheim album, which has anything, anything on it. The song Anything, not just anything on it. Or Struggle, Struggle Love, Inside Guy. Just overall, but Charlie Wilson's. Anyway, yeah. So I've had many experiences where I had to just understand different songs and relate to different songs differently by different artists. So that happened, and then Luke Combs came, and I was a fan of him country wise, and then Morgan something, I think another country star, but I love country. I like country a little bit, but it's true, country has to grow on you. You can't force country to grow on you, which sounds weird. Trying to think what other questions do I get? My age I'm not giving. I'm going for a psych major, so trying to think what else I can give without. Okay, so I'm going to end this on a weird note. I'm going to end this on a note that people are going to say, well, you only do like X amount of videos and you only do a certain amount of podcasts. This is for me to get familiar with putting my face on the internet, because that's not something I normally do. So this is kind of me testing that out, just seeing how it feels. How does it feel to be doing that? So I'm gonna do that in two different format ways, but I'm gonna do it. So we're gonna see, and then I'm gonna address a few issues and a disclaimer, because I think that's notable to this and a lot of other things. So I'm going to get those things out of the way and then put this right behind it, and we're going to see how it goes.